TAKful Creator here. Okay, let's get started. May God the Creator bless us. May God the Redeemer heal us. May God the Holy Spirit enlighten us. Give us eyes to see, ears to hear, and hands to do the work of God. Feet to walk the path of justice, and mouths to preach the good news. May the angel of peace, prosperity, love, abundance, guidance, and grace watch over us and lead us to the reign of God. Ashe. Ooh. Oh wow, so there is some trying times, some turbulent times that you are a part of, or we as a collective are a part of. Oh, where are my manners? Thank you for your likes, your shares, your subscribes. I appreciate your comments if you're commenting. It's so interesting that we have these cards, and here I am right back into the reading. It's so interesting that we have these cards like right back. There was a reading that I posted a while ago where these cards were in a very similar rotation, but the gentlemanly card was in the upright. So what we see now is that and the mountains card was in the reverse. This was in the upright. They literally they were flipped, right? So they were generally like this, right? So what does it say by the cards now being organized in this way? Right, so with this gentlemanly card is usually someone who is a bit more mature in either age or spirituality, like they're just mature in their development. We're not really noting like culture or gender or anything. We're just noting that the energy is masculine, okay? Because this could also mean there's a woman whose masculine energy in her mature state is undergoing some kind of correction, right? So excuse me, this card was in the upright. So what is this masculine energy's correction? Because we're not seeing it as a karmic energy. We're seeing it more as a chosen energy, an energy that is in alignment with higher ideals. But we're seeing that there's some turbulent times here. Okay, so a mountain, think of like when you are trudging up a mountain, when you are hiking, right? All the effort that it takes to progress on this incline. And don't get me wrong, like, you know, anyone can walk up a mountain if there was a flat terrain and, you know, stepping stones to assist you. But with this mountain, with the idea of this mountain, it's sporadic. The intrusions, right? So the ground, there's hurdles, there's mud, there's mush, there's, you know, faulty ground. Sometimes you have to like swing from a vine. Like it's no straight path to the top, but you have to get to the top, right? You're noting that the only endeavor for you during this time is to triumph. Okay, so that is getting atop the mountain. Okay, so with this 21 here that we have in the upright, 2 symbolizing believe, 1 symbolizing kind of asking for it. What does this mean to us, right, when we're separating it in this way? Well, believing what's going on is kind of using your intuition, right? Using your intuition past logic. Okay, and 1 asking for it is using that logic, right? That is, in a sense, supporting your intuition to ask purposeful questions to the divine, to people around you, to yourself, to see if what you're embarking on is necessary for your development, or what you're embarking on is necessary for the environment that you're in. Example, if you're trudging up a mountain, right, is it important how your nails look? Not very much, unless you are an influencer or something like that and you need to look good for the camera. Otherwise, the importance would be your safety. You know, the cosmetic appearance of you isn't important unless there's utility there. Why? Because the only way for you to get up a tumultuous path is for you to be safe and secure in your stride, okay, for lack of a better word. Okay, and the ability to kind of think on your feet, the ability to adapt to situations, right? Now, in order for you to adapt to situations, there can't be like a yo-yo effect, right? So adapting to a situation is pretty linear. So think of linear as we're walking step by step in one direction, right? If this is the start line, this is the finish line, and we're walking step by step to the finish line. That is what we're called to do, right? The universe gives us sign and synchronicity so that we can walk that straight designated path. Unfortunately, sometimes the universe throws little hurdles and stuff in the way of that path, and that takes you away from the purpose, the intended purpose of what you're supposed to be doing, right? It's a distraction, for example, right? Now, while you're triumphing this mountain and you're using the 21 method, right? The 2-1 method of believing you're meant to be there and understanding why, asking the necessary questions, you're taking away this yo-yo effect. You're taking away the back and forth, like, oh, do I walk straight? Do I walk back? Do I walk straight? Do I walk back? Why? Because you already know where your destination is. You already know where the outcome is. And if you can see the outcome, like seeing the peak of a hill, it's really easy for you to get there. It's those times where maybe there'll be more shrubbery or more trees and you won't be able to see the destination as clearly. That is where the belief comes in, because knowing is seeing with 1 or 3 of your eyes, okay? But to believe is past that, okay? Now, again, this yo-yo effect has to be removed. This could be physically, right? Like the example we gave, walking straight, then walking left, then walking straight again, then making a right, realizing that you're in a circle, right? Opposed to just walking a straight path. So how can this yo-yo effect show up theoretically? Well, in my mind, right? In your mind, if, should I do this? Should I do that? Is it appropriate if I do this? Is it appropriate if I do that? It's calling you to have a sense of personal integrity, which means you have to attach yourself to some kind of foundation, right? But you have to use this personal integrity in order for you to make clear, concise decisions. And in your clear, concise decisions, right, you're offering yourself the safety and security that you need, right, to triumph a mountain like this, okay? Again, this is only a path for someone who is more chosen, but it's masculine. It's more of your masculine energy that you have to tap into here. It's less of the feminine energy, which is about nurturing and caring. That would be important if you were to trip or something up this mountain, right? If you were to have some kind of folly in a problem or resolving a situation, right? But in this theoretical case, right, this masculine energy has to be like a bear, right? Having a bit more strength, lucid strength that's not attached to the small details. It's attached more to the larger details, right? I'm not really getting the bigger picture here, but it's more so pushing away the finite details, because in the moment of triumphing something like a huge mountain, you can't care about those little things, right? Maybe there'll be a better time and place to care about those things, but in order for this gentlemanly card to be in the upright, it can't be the major focus, okay? So let's see here, what other messages we need to know before we see what storylines could be attached to this general collective message, okay? So there's some kind of snakes, right? Now, what do we mean by snakes? We could be talking about physical snakes if you're in the country or if you're in an area that frequents them. But I'm gauging more like the energy of a snake, the manipulation, the deception, which is also instituted by this card if it was in the upright. But with it being in the reverse, the impulse to be manipulative, the impulse to deceive, the impulse to gaslight and to remove the truth from a situation, right? This is all about personal integrity. Whereas this one is putting the responsibility more on the people that are around you. It's more external, right? Your ability to see it within yourself and the ability to see it within others. And these both are in the reverse. So it could mean that you're having an issue with seeing that. And so the divine is putting you into situations where you can better organize yourself if things were to come up. Or you are seeing this, you are conquering this battle because you're cutting off the toxic parts of you that accept it, that align with it, that would negotiate it in a sense, right? And that's where we get this 10 from, this seeking truth. You're not only asking, but you're investigating, right? You're not only inquiring or observing, you're more so offering pointed questions, getting pointed information, and then taking that information to other sources and stuff like that in order to, I wouldn't say embellish it, but to increase it, right? And to make it something that's whole, make it something that's full, right? That's what I'm getting more by this energy. You're taking the necessary times to cut off what is no longer serving you, or what's no longer serving the idea of you that you want to have in the future. Okay? So we had a few more cards over here fall out. Let's see. It's quite a few cards. Okay, so the house card fell out and it's at the forefront. So what is the major focus here? Right? With any masculine energy is usually the home is what protects, the home is what provides a sense of security and stability. And as a masculine energy, whether you're male or female, the responsibility is to protect and provide, right? So that's what we can get by this domicile, right? This domestic type of environment here. But it's in the upright with the 4 at the top. So there's an idea of the angelic realm closely listening to what's going on, right? Closely navigating with this energy to assure proper manifestation, right? So what does that mean? Well, if you want a certain, let's see, a certain family life, right? Or a certain lifestyle that incorporates a large house, well, that means the divine is listening to, how you speak on people who have large houses. The divine is listening to how you interact when you see someone who has a larger house than you. The divine is understanding, how you feel about bills and what you're doing to make sure that, certain responsibilities are taken care of. Your excitement level, your enthusiasm with upkeeping and maintaining this house, right? The house that you currently have. So with all of these factors, the universe is closely listening, and if your efforts are in alignment with something that would, be a larger house, right? You're so enthusiastic to do this, you honestly need more rooms to clean. Well, the divine sees this as a positive and pushes your manifestation closer to reality. But if you're too busy complaining about what you have, or too busy, not trying to maintain it or letting it fall apart, well, the divine takes it as you still need to be taught the lesson of taking care of what you have. So you can't be blessed with something more. Okay? And it also threatens, right, the ability for you to secure what you currently have, or you could have less. Right? So what does that mean here? Well, if the divine is closely listening to you, that means that you are a co-creator. That's beautiful. But just like everyone else, you're offered universal tests to see whether your frequency aligns with the blessings you want to come into reality. Okay? In the upright, this is perfect, right? You get that the proper masculine energy to assist the home and maintaining the home, and to possibly, make it better or grander, or whatever the case is. But here we have it in reverse. So what lessons attached to the home is causing some kind of trial and tribulation, right? That is really because of some fundamental blindness, right? That we can see is successful in becoming clear. Okay, we are aware of it because this card is in the reverse. If the card was in the upright, that means that you're still with that back and forth, that yo-yo, you're still toying with it. But here we can see that you're not necessarily battling it with it anymore. You're more so along the lines of accepting it. But that's a little bit more difficult, because when we have this other gentlemanly card showing up, we can see how the trials and tribulations can affect a person, right? So let's say you're a chosen individual, but there is a stumble along this road. Well, because the environment you're in is no longer, I guess, positive, right? How are you showing up? That's what the universe is seeing on this mountain. Well, because this gentlemanly card may have shown up in a way that was nostalgic to maybe a traumatic period in his life, right, or her life, because again, we're talking about an energy here. Maybe that is the reason why they kind of reduce their frequency, right? So let's say if we're talking about a specific mountain, because I love to give specific examples, right? But ones that really have nothing to do with this, so that you can kind of have an objective view. So let's say you're going up this mountain and you trip and fall, right? When you were walking up the mountain and there were no problems, you felt on top of the world. You felt like nothing can bother you. You were excessively happy. Now you trip and fell. You have a little scrape. Well, now it seems like the world is crashing down, technically, because you fell down, right? And now have some kind of ailment. So a part of you is more focused on the fact that you were happy, and now that happiness is reduced. And then the other part of you is focusing on the fact that now you have another issue to handle. So that's double the negative than the positive you were receiving. So instead of being like, oh, okay, well, let's figure out some positive affirmations, let's get ourselves back on the right track, you instead spiral. It's like, okay, well, since the universe gave me so much negativity in a short period of time, I'm going to self-sabotage and give myself a little bit more negativity. And I'm speaking from an I standpoint, so that this negative information can more easily be transferred, okay? I know there's a lot of sensitive people out there. But, so now it's like, okay, I'm going to self-sabotage and make it even worse than what it was. So, in a sense, I have some kind of control over the situation. What is that? That is called karmic reasoning, okay? Divine reasoning would be the affirmations, getting yourself back on a positive track and moving along in the best way possible with whatever ailment that you have. But the more karmic resolution would be to kind of dive more into the negativity instead of stopping it at its tracks, okay? But because this is a one-man or one-man show, there's no one to attack here. And this energy is not necessarily wanting to attack him or herself because they're already in this situation. So this is the reason why it's not showing up in the reverse, okay? What does that mean to us? Okay, well, this karmic energy can be thrusted into a more chosen energy easier by doing what? Well, we know the end result would be to cut off whatever energies around them that would support any negative behavior, would support the idea of self-sabotaging, right? Cutting that off completely. But mainly what's behind this card, okay? So we have this nitpicking, right? This begging for more than what's necessary, because we can see that there's this cheese in the background, but yet they're putting up the begging hands, like, oh, they need more, right? Now 23 is natural law, which means that the energy that's attached to this is necessary for the collective survival. Why? Because it teaches a lesson. So because it's purposeful in teaching a lesson, you have to figure out what energy you want to be associated with. Do you want to be associated with the energy that has to learn the lesson? Or do you want to be associated with the energy that's showing other people not to show up like this? Okay? That's one of the main concerns of this karmic energy here. Right? Why? Because of this tower moment. What is a tower moment? A tower moment is just chaos and disaster, right? A problem that seems unnecessary, a problem that you don't want to care about, being thrusted into a situation that doesn't seem very positive for your psyche, right? Or your physical well-being. We can call that a tower moment, right? Now in this tower moment, we see that this card is in the upright because they're moving with grace. In the reverse, this tower moment is ripping this individual apart. But in the upright, we're seeing that no, this masculine is moving through the tower moment because they see exactly why they're having this experience. Okay? And it's because of a new beginning that might be taken away. Now, what is this new beginning? What's with an individual that's showing up as a karmic, right? Now, why is this individual showing up as a karmic? It's because there's this health, right? This love and adaptation, this change, because that's what's represented by the number 5, right? But 5 is also five also represents adapting through minor issues, right? That could be what's seen by this tower moment. But this feminine energy that's more in a karmic feminine energy right, is missing some kind of health, is missing some kind of life-giving benefit in this sea of forgetfulness. That's a song by Casting Crowns. Look it up. And it's because of this masculine, right? This masculine energy. Now, this masculine and feminine energy could all be within one person, because we talked about how this is first with integrity. This is first with the individual making sure that they're showing up in alignment with their highest purpose, right? Of being a good person with good characteristics, not being mean, not, doing stuff that people would deem as universally bad, okay? And the way that can show up is by the people that are around you and how they show up with you, okay? And cutting those people off, you're symbolically telling the universe that you want to cut off this part of you, this alignment, this frequency, so that you can be in a better environment with better situations and stuff like that. That's tethered to, I guess, a better mental health, right? A better spiritual health, because you're no longer dealing with stuff that would accrue such nitpicking tower moments, okay? So if this energy is all one person with having to juggle their masculine and feminine, right, in any situation. So just imagine if you're a person going on a trip, right? Your feminine energy would tell you to be more kind, but your masculine energy would tell you to protect yourself. Now, mind you, you're a Taurus, and you have to communicate. You have to, open up. You have to, in a sense, share bits about yourself in order to form some kind of relationship with people while you're there, because being in an environment where you trust absolutely no one is really unsafe, right? So just imagine having to balance this constant. That's a yo-yo effect, okay? Because your masculine energy and your feminine energy should be in contingency, where they're moving like a machine, one with one another, right? But in this environment, it's like they're fighting each other. It's like, do I be nurturing and caring and kind, or do I be overpowering and maybe overbearing, a little bit more aggressive? And it's like, what energy do you use in what situation? And that's what the universe is showing you right now with your life situations. And I say life because this, we're talking about the home. The home has many rooms, and it symbolizes many things, right? Look it up. Or look at my other videos. And because it's all encompassing of the different facets of life, you can tell why the trials and tribulations, just learning basic skill sets about different problems that can arise, is important. And you being able to balance it and work with it is so important, because with all these different rooms that are, again, different, you'll be able to use the same universal skill sets that you use with climbing this mountain to help all your other situations, okay? But it first comes from balancing the masculine energy and the feminine energy within yourself, okay? So let's get into more of a general storyline. Where are my general cards? A general storyline, so we can really figure out so we can really figure out how this can show up in our day-to-day, right? Because it's great knowing the theoretical story and being able to resonate or attach ourselves to a part of it and move with it. And it's another point to be able to see certain markers, right? So when you're in life and you see these same exact markers, you're like, oh, okay, so this is what the theory was about. So we're going to get those markers so you can see how the theory can show up in your life, or is showing up in your life, or has shown up in your life, okay? Because time is fluid. It goes all like this, that, and the third, okay? That's why we have deja vu moments, okay? So this can apply to you at any given point. Now, the guides want me to note the cards that fell on my right foot, and note that it was on my right foot. So hyenas normally symbolize like excessive laughter, right? But it's usually excessive laughter because they don't really know what's going on, right? They don't really know, like, the ins and outs, the true details. They don't know the bigger picture. They only get a glimpse of something, and because they're, ignorance is bliss, right? It puts them in a state of, oh, well, at least I know something. I know something you don't. And it kind of gives that kind of laughing vibe, right? If you could think about it like that. Hyenas are also very similar to vultures in how they scout dead animals, right? So a hyena is not really going to, think of the Lion King. The hyenas mostly eat dead food. They're not really seeking live food unless it's vulnerable or innocent, right? So it just shows you the character of someone who can symbolically attach himself to a hyena, right? So what does that mean here? Well, ignorance is no longer bliss, right? Ignorance might be bliss for this karmic energy that's down here that can laugh off a situation. A softball can symbolize little issues that you have day in and day out, right? Those are soft falls opposed to hard falls that you would have during tower moments, okay? And tower moments are meant to teach you lessons. Soft falls and hard falls, they can teach you lessons if you're aware, but oftentimes it's karma, okay? So with this soft trip or fall, it might be karma, but this energy is more so laughing at their own pain, opposed to seeing that they're only going through this because they're not wanting to understand. They don't want to increase their perception. What does that mean? Okay, well, when you're looking at something that you're not supposed to be looking at, right? And you're walking down the street, oftentimes you trip. Okay? Well, if you were looking at your feet or looking at the ground, maybe you wouldn't have tripped. That is the simplest way I can put it, right? So you have to refocus your energy, right? Or this energy has to refocus their perception, what they see, what they're accepting in as truth, so that they can actually triumph this mountain, opposed to accepting, maybe pity is better because they tripped and fell. Or maybe putting the blame on an external energy is good because they tripped and fell, opposed to cutting off the need, confirmation, the need to be the best, even if you aren't the best. Okay, it's really hard for some people to accept that other people are better in a way that can assist them in growing, right? Decaying flesh, expensive. See, we were talking about the hyena. What do they eat? Decaying flesh, right? But in wanting to only focus on something that is already dead and gone, instead of focusing on it while it's alive and thriving, right, can be an expensive or costly endeavor, because you can have a soft chip or fall that require more financial resources or other kinds of resources, energetic resources, possibly like going to a dentist's office or something having to do with a game, because of this kind of backdoor energy. What does that mean? Well, you don't want to take the direct route. Okay, there's some kind of energy within you that is a bit cowardly. You don't want to take the direct route. You want to take the easiest route, which means the route of less resistance, right? But most of the time, that's not the fastest route or the most direct route, okay? Because the direct route is usually the fastest route. Now, we're not talking about traffic. We didn't see the, SUV or car come up, but it's a great time to cease and desist, because if not, things are going to go up in flames. So it's just like the example we offered of going up the mountain and literally tripping and falling up the mountain, like having a little bit of a scratch or a scrape. Instead of you focusing on the negative energy, it's a great time to remove yourself from the negative energy and say, well, why? Why did I trip and fall right here? Okay? No, we're not going to laugh at our pain. Oh, we tripped and fell. Ha, ha, ha. No, we're not laughing at it. Oh, we tripped and fell. Oh, we're going to be mad because we tripped and fell. No. It's more so, okay, we tripped and fell. Well, why didn't I see this? Well, maybe I tripped and fell because there was something around me that I needed to see. What's around me that I need to see? How is that going to propel me? How is that going to increase my likelihood of getting to my destination quicker? Because obviously the universe stopped me right here, offered me some kind of pain to note that I meant to stop and focus. Okay? Now, a lot of the times when you're hungry, right, you're not supposed to stop and focus on your stomach. You're supposed to continue and go and focus on food, right? To satisfy the craving, satisfy it. Well, in this sense, you're being called to do the same thing. The soft trip or fall is not meant for you to sit and dwell in that situation. It's for you to see why you were put in that situation and how you can offer yourself a better experience going forward because of that situation. Okay? Let's see. There's a subtle disclaimer that there's a compulsive liar around. Oh, okay. So if you lie to yourself, I know a lot of the time parents like to coddle their kids, and they like to say stuff like, oh, you know, it's gonna be okay. Oh, well, let me hit the table because the table did something wrong. Da 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 da. More like a cry for help. We're really being called here to accept personal accountability. Okay? Because with any situation, you are personally responsible. So personal accountability. Why are you a part of a certain situation? Well, as a chosen person in their masculine energy, you have to know how to protect and provide for a growing and adapting home. A home that will be strengthened. A home that will increase, right? If you can't provide that with the bare minimum of what the universe is giving you, the universe won't give you more than the bare minimum. Okay? So let's say you want a whole legacy. Well, oftentimes a legacy starts with the family. But if you can't protect yourself from a soft trip or fall, how do you expect to protect anyone else around you from a soft trip or fall? Okay? For a lot of people, they have the inclination to just help anyone around them, right? That comes from trauma of not having anyone to help them when they were in situations, right? So you're being called to see what kind of trauma that's pushing you more into an immature state and away from this new beginning that's peeking its head out here, right? And literally stop yourself from doing it. Be your own parent. Stop yourself. Great time to cease and desist. At any point in time, you can say to your own mind, this is not becoming of whatever I want to do, and remove yourself. But a lot of the time, we have this comparison, right? This Gemini energy of the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other, and then the Scorpio energy of the emotions kind of taking over, right? Or the emotions not being present at all. Okay? So what does that mean? Well, if the emotions are present, maybe they'll move more into a negative light. And if the emotions are not present at all, they'll move more in a positive light. Well, that's not really becoming of someone who's chosen and is called to not focus on vengeance at all. Okay? Focus on what's good and bad and kind of move into that I wouldn't say combination, but I would definitely say like justice, right? You have to pinpoint what's good and pinpoint what's bad. That's why this Gemini energy is important. But then you have to move more into a Libra energy of understanding like, okay, even though there's good and bad, this is what the gray area also says. And this is how we need to form a judgment. Yep. But that's the issue. Like this hyena vibe, they want to move in this hideous, pure, ugly Gemini vibe. It's more in that devil energy of you know, not wanting to fix a problem, kind of like, oh, I need a cool breeze type of thing. Like, oh, I need to go for a walk type of thing. Like, I need to like cool myself down. Whereas it's like, the only reason why you're so heated is because there's a lack of acceptance somewhere. Okay? And once you pinpoint what that lack of acceptance is, basic communication, and I mean basic, because this works with children. Basic communication can resolve whatever issue that you have. But it's all about awareness, understanding what the issue actually is, and knowing how to provide a workable solution. Once the emotions are maintained, because you can't really require a child to, you know, suck up all their emotions and then act maturely, especially when there's grown-ass adults who can't do that. Anyway, there's someone with this new beginning maybe thinking about a suicide attempt, okay? But lucky for you, the divine's not letting it happen. I don't mean to laugh. I just, like, literally say no to, you know, anyone that might be causing some kind of buzz about your situation. And what does that mean? Like, don't let it affect you, okay? That's your responsibility as an individual with emotions, okay? No matter what people do around you, you still have to maintain a certain decorum within yourself. That's self-discipline. It has nothing to do with the people around you, okay? I've been in horrific situations where I still was required to speak like I was presenting a speech in front of an audience. So I'm not saying like that is healthy, but what I'm saying is, you know, when you're able to truly detach from the situation at hand emotionally, you know, you would no longer have to cry for help or play victim. It's more so like everything's a soft trip or fall, because you have to see what needs better alignment or what needs refocusing. Let's see. I'm getting a lot to kind of offer you like a prophetic message, even though, you know, the government might be involved in some kind of chipping. Oh, that's a side message. We're not talking about COVID. That means there's an ancestor or guide that's here, that something with a social media post about a garage or tool shed, missed or lack of opportunity with the copycat energy. Ladybug, which usually symbolizes luck, but there's a lack of that luck. Like we see lucky, like a 4-leaf clover, that's like financial abundance, material abundance. When we see ladybug, that's usually like social abundance, right? Aesthetic abundance. But it's going to end with like a hospital visit, or someone who is very needy is going to need a hospital because of some kind of gladiator status, which is kind of lucky, right? Something about an evening or night. There was a reading, I think it was Gemini's reading, that says something about an evening or night. So I'll definitely attach that to this reading. And having peace in a basement, in a laundry room after the midnight hour. There's some kind of karmic reader that is going to have some kind of divine fated occurrence where it's going to make them low-key tight, because all the snakes are going to provide the birds, right? Because birds of a feather flock together, the necessary information that they're racist or bigots, right? That they're essentially they're perpetrators, and what they do is a comedy show. It's going to create a lot of havoc for them, and their privacy is going to be more public, okay? And it's going to offer a new opportunity for some kind of rebound energy with this separation, okay? But I'm being called not to really dive into those messages. It's like the people who will resonate with it will know exactly that they're caught up. I don't know. They will know what to do with it. Okay, so I think that's about all. Alright, so I'll see you soon. Until the next.